Healers are a necessary component of almost every RPG, from the Cleric to the Paladin and even Druids. All sorts of healers across the many games out there. That's no different in Baldur's Gate 3. With plenty of multi-class options on the table, I want to go over what I believe to be the best healer in Baldur's Gate 3 by utilizing Bard and Cleric. Now, if you're a D&D veteran, the adage is that healing isn't overly worth it. You're just better off doing more damage. The best type of healing is a monster not doing damage to you after all. But some people don't want to play like that, and I love getting big, juicy heals off. I just wanted to address that up front because I think newer players can get discouraged online asking for advice on building healers from more veteran players that just tell them to kill things. If this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos so you can decide if it's the right one for you. So with that being said, we'll be taking 6 levels of Life Cleric and 6 levels of Lore Bard. Which one you go with first will depend solely on the type of character you need for your party, as Bard will provide us with a lot of crowd control and ways to subdue enemies while adding later healing, and the Life Cleric will be our master of healing. Regardless, our first level will be in Cleric just to get heavy armor turned on ASAP. But that's really the gist of this entire video, so if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down and get back to creating your healing powerhouse in BG3. Before you head out, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Each one of those things does help me out in a huge way. I currently have something like, 89% unsubscribed viewership on the channel, and that's a metric I'm trying to change this year, so every little bit helps. You can jump ahead to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters about the timeline in the description. And if you need help with any other subject in Baldur's Gate 3, check out my playlist linked below and at the end of the video. Well, let's get started here on the best healer build in Baldur's Gate 3. Now, to start us out, I want to talk very quickly about why we do not go with Paladin in this build. I originally kind of conceived this build looking at going 9 levels into Paladin to get the Warden of Vitality spell. And you definitely still can take that route and then still go into Life Cleric, but I already have a build that's kind of similar to it. And if we take a look at this Healing Radiance spell, it's a Channel Oath ability, proficiency bonus, which goes from 2 to 3 to then 4 at levels 1, 5, and 9. Then your Paladin level, then your Charisma modifier. So for me, this was a little too hinged upon your actual Paladin level versus the Life Cleric just gives us outright healing bonuses based off of our character level, which is the combined level of all of our multi-classes. So if you're wondering why I don't have Paladin, this is why. And again, I already have a build like that on the channel, but I wanted to address this up front before we go into character creation next. For character creation, we have plenty of ways to go about this. Remember, this is a single player narrative game, so choose a race that makes sense for you, the character you want to make, and the roleplay you have in mind for your character. There are some options, though, that maybe stick out. I'm going to go through those, but for the most part, this is going to be purely based off of you because there's not a whole ton of benefit from going to any one specific race. Human's nice for some increased carry capacity, and they get to select an additional skill to be proficient in. You also kind of have to look at, is this character going to be the main character you're playing, which is actually a really, really good one for a main character, or is this going to be maybe Shadowheart, or is this going to be any of the other companions respect into this class? So you just kind of have to make that decision for yourself. The Halfling can be a good choice here just by simply going with the Lucky capability here to get to reroll on attack rolls, ability checks, or saving throws. This is going to be nice, especially if you're playing in the Honor mode where every single roll really helps you out. And choosing between the Lightfoot or Strongheart, I would just go with Strongheart just to give that additional advantage on saving throws against poison and a resistance to poison. Just gives me a little bit more survivability. In that same breath, I would look at the Dwarf, who also has that same advantage on saving throws and a resistance to poison for just some more survivability, and go with the Gold Dwarf for just some more hit points. Those are some things that I really like. You can definitely go with an Elf or a Drow if you so wish. Drow is my favorite race in the game, and I almost always choose Drow for a lot of my characters. Half Elves are still just as good as well. You can go with Wood Elf for increased movement, Drow to kind of get those benefits. But one of the big ones that I really like here is the Asmodeus Tiefling. The Asmodeus Tiefling gets Produce Flame, which you can get as a cantrip as a cleric, but it's nice just to have this capability, and it frees up a cantrip slot basically, right? But the nice thing too is that at level 3, you're going to get Hellish Rebuke, which is basically anytime someone does damage to you, you can use Hellish Rebuke, it'll use a spell slot and do damage back. And then lastly, at level 5, you get a free cast of Darkness. You get it as a spell. So what I like about that is it offers a lot of utility. And don't think of this class as purely a healer. It is a healer, but the reason we're jumping into Bard is to get a lot of utility and a lot of help for the entire party as a whole. So I like Asmodeus Tiefling. Mephistopheles Tiefling is great too. Mage Hand, Burning Hands, and then Flameblade. Flameblade not as crucial here. The Zariel Tiefling does get a lot of bonuses with Searing Smite and Branding Smite. So not as huge here because we're not focused on melee combat. So those are my kind of breakdowns here for your race. Classes, of course, we're going to start off with Cleric. You can start off with Bard if you want, but I think getting one level into Cleric and choosing your subclass of the life domain is a really nice way to start us off, because we just we jump into heavy armor right away. So we don't have to worry about overlapping armor choices with any of the other people in our party, unless of course you have other heavy armor wearers. And also this gives us Cure Wounds and Bless as part of just simply selecting life domain. For our cantrips, we're going to go Guidance because it's just so damn good. We're going to choose Resistance because I like this of what's remaining on this list. Blade Ward is another really good one. It's just not a... I'm sorry. I meant to choose Blade Ward. I like Blade Ward more than Resistance because Blade Ward is not a concentration ability. But you'll see that we have plenty of ways to turn Blade Ward on in this build. Also, Sacred Flame, it's a terrible ability. It almost always misses, but at least it's just a free damage capability you can have. You can swap that for Thaumaturgy if you want to gain advantage on intimidation and performance checks if you'd like to do that. For your deity, go with whatever one you want to go with, please. Helm is really nice here because it's, I don't know, it fits in with the whole dominion over the life domain. One that you can kind of look at too is Elistrai. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is basically the good aligned drow goddess. And if you go to pull the Singing Sword in the Underdark, which you will find, you get an advantage if you're worshiping this deity. Lathander might help out with the Lathander quest. I do not know, but the Lathander quest is going to be a big focus in the gear section. But, you know, Helm is just as fine. Or, again, Lathanders also have light and life domain. Choose whatever deity makes sense for you, your character, and your roleplay. That's really going to be the big thing here. There's nothing in here that's really going to change the game anyway for you. As far as your background goes, again, same thing. Go with something that fits the roleplay for the character you have in mind. Are you a former acolyte has turned to the ways of a cleric? Are you a folk hero who kind of uses their piousness to drive themselves forward? Are you a former bard who has taken their levels into bard and turned into a cleric, or vice versa? Whatever it is, choose a background that fits for you and the character you have in mind. My min-max pick is almost always the insight and persuasion skill gain from the guild artisan. Both of those skills are really important. You're going to make a lot of those rolls throughout your playthrough of the game. And if you can kind of go with what I have here, I think this is a pretty okay setup. I'd probably go history and religion. Medicine is really only important if you're making potions. So I'd have a dedicated character making that. But if you want to go with it, by all means, go ahead and do so. History, religion, insight, and persuasion is pretty good, especially if this is my main character, as these will be the abilities I'll use for talking, right? Persuasion and insight, you use that a lot when you're talking to people. And as far as your starting spells for this cleric, I definitely went with Healing Word. So now we've got pretty much all of our level 1 healing capabilities covered with just this first level. Command is a nice one to start with here because you can do a lot of fun stuff like have people drop their weapons, go prone, all sorts of fun things. Create Water is really good if you have a storm sorcerer or any kind of lightning caster or ice caster planned out for your party, because you can now create a water surface that makes people wet that you then will do double damage with either ice, lightning, or thunder. I think it's only ice and lightning spells. If you want, you could swap this off for Guiding Bolt if you want more damage, or Shield of Faith to add armor class. Protection from Good and Evil is all very good. And Sanctuary is great too, just to kind of basically turn one character into an unkillable moving little target. If they do damage, they remove Sanctuary, but it's a nice thing to kind of cast on someone in an oh shit kind of situation. But now let's talk about our ability scores. So your ability scores are going to be interesting, right? Because we are going with a cleric, so we want to have wisdom. And we are going also with a bard, so we want to have charisma. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, we're not really doing damage with the cleric, why go with the wisdom? Well, stuff like Healing Word is going to get a bonus to its healing capabilities based off of your casting, spell casting ability score modifier. So in the case of that word, of certain healing spells, it will use wisdom because it is a cleric spell. unless it's a bard spell, then I'll use whichever one's higher. But that's neither here nor there. That's a different discussion. There's a video in the upper right for that. So we've got both of those set to 16. Our intelligence is 8, our strength's at 8, our dexterity is only at 10 because we are using heavy armor. Now our constitution is set to 15 because we will eventually take the feat resilient constitution, because this will allow us to get 16 constitution from it. The feat will give us 1 single ability point, and it will also give us a special bonus to constitution saving throws. And the reason here is this will give us more health, which is always good. But the big thing is that we're going to be doing a lot of concentration rolls, which are constitution saving throws. So having this have the highest modifier possible along with our casting is absolutely crucial. Remember, you don't get a bonus to the actual ability if it's an uneven number. If it's 15 in this case, it's only going to be 2. But if this is 16, it's a +3, as you can see with wisdom. So we will get this to 16 in due time. But this is the ability scores I have set out for this character. Let's go into the progression. As far as progression goes here now, you can decide if you want to do 6 levels into Cleric or 6 levels into Bard first. It's entirely up to you. Depends upon what else is in your party. What Bard is going to afford you is a lot more of CC capability, right? Crowd control. So if I go ahead and do this, cantrips we get here are like Vicious Mockery, where the target has disadvantage on its next attack roll. We can get friends online to give us advantage on charisma checks and help us out with any kind of vendors if we're not playing in tactician or honor mode. Or spell-wise, we can get access to dissonant whispers, we can get charm person, we can get sleep, we can get Tasha's hideous laughter. So just to kind of reinforce, however you want to split this character up is dependent upon you and the character you have in mind. I'm going to go ahead and just stick with my levels into Cleric right now, because I'm just going to assume that this character is solely a healer first and then all the other things secondary. If I was doing this in honor mode, I would probably stick with Bard just to turn on a lot of that crowd control capability and a lot of the other skill items that I get as a lore Bard, which is very, very nice. So starting here with level 2 of Cleric, the big thing we get access to is Preserve Life. And also with a, this is a Cleric of Life, we get this, Disciple of Life. Your devotion empowers your healing spells. When casting a healing spell, the target regains additional hit points equal to 2+ that spell's level. So one of our best spells we're going to cast is Warden of Vitality. That's a level 3 spell. So it will always give us a flat 5 additional hit points, which is really, really cool. And also, like I said, now we get Preserve Life as far as a Channel Divinity spell goes, which will be based off of our character level. So as we level up, this will get even stronger. And Channel Divinity here will be replenished on a short rest eventually. So for our spells, we're just going to stick with what we've got, you know, just kind of swap out what you kind of need. Putting Sanctuary into this list is not a bad idea. Bane is okay to have, but we're not focusing on that. So maybe going something like this. This gives us a lot of healing and utility. We already have the Cure and Bless from our domain, so we'll stick with that and go ahead and move forward. Now for more spells we get into level 2, we kind of want to stick with that same shtick. You can go Prayer of Healing here, but remember this is only out of combat, and since we're going to be picking up Bard, we'll have access to Song of Rest. What you can think of this is, you can use Prayer of Healing, and then you can use Song of Rest. The nice thing is you just have a lot of ways to keep your party's health up a lot of the time. But using Hold Person is a really good little bit of utility that gives you access to some fun spells, or some fun CC early in the game, which is really nice. Also worth noting too that some of these spells will overlap with the Bard, but you as a Cleric can swap them on and off as you see fit, which is very, very nice, whereas the Bard cannot do that. So this is a really good probably setup here. We could probably do something like this. This helps us out. Blindness is really strong too for a lot of CC. Level 2 spells aren't too crazy when it comes to adding any kind of healing, because our domain spells of Aid and Lesser Restoration we just automatically get, which is really good. So now we can help out with status effects with Lesser Restoration and increase max hit points with Aid. It's a really nice way to just kind of help people out. The nice thing about this too is it lasts until long rest, but it is not a ritual spell, so it will cost you a spell slot. Keep that in mind. Go ahead and keep this romp going here into level 4, where we get another cantrip. So you can put light on your character if you want. You can pick up thaumaturgy if you didn't before. Sacred Flame if you really want to see your character miss a lot, whatever it is. And for more spells, you just kind of put in whatever makes sense. Spiritual Weapon is really good just to add another body onto the field that the enemy has to kill. It's a really nice way to kind of distract things. But level 4, we get access to our first cantrip. I'm sorry, no, not our first cantrip, our first feat. So let's talk about them featsies. And with feats, we have some decent options. A lot of the other ones aren't going to be too amazing because we only have 2 feats to choose from. If you do want to get, a little bit more tanky, you can go with Heavy Armor Master if you want. But I think the 2 feats we're going to really focus on, and also to get something like Spell Sniper, it's going to help you with crit strikes on your cantrips and your spells. But I just think that what we want to really do here is focus on being a support character. So you can get something like Ritual Caster, which adds these spells into your repertoire as ritual spells. So you can get like Long Strider turned on and Speak with Animals and just have them always set for yourself. That is a really cool thing. I think this is a nice to have, not a compulsory. I think the 2 big feats you want to focus on are ability improvement to put into either charisma or wisdom, depending upon what you want to focus on. Do you want your cleric spells to be better? Go with wisdom. Do you want your CC and crowd control abilities as a bard to be better? Then go with charisma. Also worth noting too, this is also going to affect whenever you're doing any kind of conversations, right? So charisma can help out in a lot of different ways outside of just strictly spell casting. But I think outside of that, the big one we want to focus on is resilient constitution. So you increase an ability by 1, so now our constitution's at 16 to a max of 20, and you gain proficiency in that ability's saving throw, meaning that now we add 2, 3, or 4, if we are level 5, or level 1, 5, or 9, to our constitution checks. Concentration checks are all constitution saving throws. So this is a very huge capability. And if you don't know how you want to split the character at level 4, you're like, I don't really know where I want to go right yet. Just go with this. It's a real safe bet. Then as you get to level 4 on the Bard, then you can choose which ability improvement to increase. So I'll go with this. It's kind of a little bit of a safer bet. And then as we're coming through the game, we can decide how we're doing. So at this point, you're probably around the halfway point of Act 1. So this is a good point to pick this up and get a little bonus to anytime you have to do any concentration checks. Marching on to level 5 with our Cleric, though, our last 2 levels, we get Destroy Undead. We get our level 3 spells with Beacon of Hope, which is cool. So your allies will regain the max hit points possible when healed. They also gain advantage on wisdom saving throws and death saving throws, which is pretty nifty. And you get Revivify. So now you can just get people up. You can resurrect them for free, and it's not going to cost you one of your prepared spell slots. It's always known. Now, outside of this, you might think to go with something like Spirit Guardians because it is a really cool ability, but I don't want this character to necessarily be up close and personal doing damage. It's one of my favorite cleric spells, but it doesn't fit the kind of role I have here. Glyph of Warding is a nice offensive spell here because it gives us the ability to use the glyph that can push things away or any of the elementals attached to it. Also a nice option. But I think the big focus I'm going to go with is Mass Healing Word, because this is Healing Word, but now as a bonus action, and it affects all my allies. So it's even better. Now we are going to use an amulet that can give us that, but the nice thing is we'll just have that amulet as a free form of Mass Healing Word, and this as a spell form. Other ones, though, that you want to get eventually are Remove Curse, but this is situational, and I would simply just remove this on and off my prepared spell list as needed. And then we'll take our last level into Cleric here. The reason we went with level 6 Cleric, though, is to get this specifically. Blessed Healer. Healing others heals you as well. When you cast a healing spell of level 1 or higher on another creature, you regain hit points to 2 plus the spell's level. So now, you don't need to worry so much about topping yourself off, because you constantly have healing coming out whenever you heal someone that comes to you and to them at this same exact bonus, right? This was that same bonus that whenever we heal a target, we get 2 plus the spell's level. Well, now that reactively goes to us as well. It's a very, very good capability. And we get another Channel Divinity charge. That's huge. So we get a lot of utility there, and we can go ahead and put in another spell. You know what? Protection from Energy is really good for some resistance bonus in a fight you know you're going to deal with a specific resistance. I actually really like this one too. But if you want to put in a little bit more utility, you can go with silence. Warding bond is good too. There's a lot of different ones here. Enhance ability is amazing to use. In fact, I'm going to go with that because you can use it during conversations, which is lovely. Let's go ahead and accept that level. And as we come into level 7 Cleric, we pivot and go to Bard, where we select our cantrips. We already have Blade Ward, and we're going to get it from a ton of different sources. So we'll go with something like this. Spells. Now, you can see anything with this gold border around it, we already have it from another spell, right? We already have it from another class. So we're going to pick up stuff like Charm Person. We're going to get Tasha's Hideous Laughter. We're going to get Dissonant Whispers. I would steer clear of Sleep at this point in the game if you went with 6 Cleric, then into Bard. Sleep is only really effective in the very beginning portions of the game and then falls off of its usefulness quite quickly. I would pick Longstrider if I did not have a Wizard or a Ranger that already had Longstrider, or I didn't choose the feat for it. Longstrider is great because it is a ritual spell, meaning when you cast it, it will A, last until long rest, and B, it will not use a spell slot. That's confusing. Ritual spells don't use spell slots. That's what a ritual spell does. But as far as offensive capabilities, Thunderwave is great. So when something gets close to you, you can actually clear them out really well with Thunderwave. This is a really nice little setup here, but you can even go with Fairy Fire if you want. You just got to be mindful when you cast Fairy Fire, if you cast it on a whole group, this will apply the advantage to attack rolls to your party if you did that. So just be careful if you use Fairy Fire. And we'll go with this, and abilities, you can just choose whatever ones you want here. Of course, go with whatever makes sense for the character. You play through all those fun things. You can now go into everything. So if you really want to focus on, we don't actually have a rogue character. Well, now I can actually do those sleight of hand checks with this character. Because eventually you'll get a proficiency, you'll get an expertise in that specific one. But I'll choose Persuasion down here because, you know what, maybe this is my main character. I'll go ahead and press Accept. And we will go to level 2, choose more spells, and again, just kind of apply the ones that fit for what you have in mind. Heroism is actually not a bad one. It does fall off in the later game because you can only get temporary hit points from one source. So if you're getting temporary hit points from, say, a item, then they can override each other. Now, for our subclass, we're going with the Lore Bard, which will give us Cutting Words, use your wit to distract a creature, and sap its confidence. Mainly what we want here is the level 6 capability that Lore Bard has called Magical Secrets. Will allow us to choose a spell from pretty much everything. Well, up to a certain point. Now we get to choose even more spells. You can see that we have tons of these little gold boxes, so there's a lot of existing overlap, which is actually nice. We don't need to kind of split our attention onto some of these other abilities. Heat Metal is very good for just getting people to drop items, whatever you want to kind of do with that. There's a lot of fun stuff. And remember, we are a bard. Oh, we're a lore bard, so we get to choose more skills. Like I said, we get these expertise. So let's go like Persuasion and Intimidation, right? So now we're really good when it comes to conversation, or Perception. So we're really, really good with that check, or maybe Insight, whatever one that makes sense for you and the character and your party and all that jazz. Remember, we are a bard. Ooh, what did I not do? Oh, boom, bang, boom, whatever you want to go with there. We are a bard, so whenever we want to swap out an ability, we have to use Replace Spell. So let's go ahead and swap out Heroism with another level 2 spell. Hold Person was a really good one we took a look at earlier, but we can just swap that into our spellbook from Cleric. So let's ignore that one here. Enhance Ability, we can get that from Cleric very easily. So we might as well choose things that are a little bit more exclusive to this character as a bard. Remember, we saw Blindness on our Cleric list as well, right? So stuff like Enthrall, or where is it? Phantasmal Force. I thought Phantasmal Force was Crown of Madness. Crown of Madness is actually very good here. If you want an offensive spell, Cloud of Daggers is very good. Also, Shatter is great spell as well, because basically you're casting Thunderwave, but at a location, and it's not moving anyone back, but still. Let's go with just Crown of Madness. Kind of like that. Sounds fun. And we'll go ahead and push forward to get to level 4 Bard, which will give us another cantrip. Just again, go with whatever makes sense for you. Minor Illusion can be fun. You can cast that down. They have to go deal with it. Let's go with... See, Invisibility is always really good. I like Shatter. Give a little aggression to the character. We have so many other spells to really kind of that are overlapped, which is don't feel like that's a bad thing. It's a good thing because now we can really specifically choose what we want. Now for our ability improvement, I'm going to put more points into wisdom here personally because I want this character to heal better, and wisdom is going to help affect how much healing we're getting out of the character. We're going to get some more levels here. And now we're going to get to level 3. So stuff like Hypnotic Pattern is very good. Hypnotize creatures that can see the pattern. They cannot attack you. They cannot move or act. The spell can be cast while you're silenced, which is just a really nice ability. Fear is a really, really good ability overall, right? Disadvantage on ability checks, attack rolls. Stinging Cloud is kind of fun. But let's go with Hypnotic Pattern. You know what? Let's replace another spell. Let's get rid of Charm Person. It's just, I feel like it kind of falls off in its usefulness later into the game. And let's pick up that fear capability, right? So now we have a lot of really good crowd control capabilities on top of being a very good healer because of all of our cleric stuff, right? And our final level into this action, let's go with Thrall. And our final level 2 gets us this action. Counter Charm. You and allies within 30 feet have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened, which is so good. Now for magical secrets, we have a ton of things to choose from. We pretty much have access to all these level 3, 2, and 1 spells that we wouldn't have access to as this character class. And the big one we're going to get right here is Warden of Vitality. While this aura lasts, you can restore vitality as a bonus action to heal yourself or nearby allies. And in addition to that, we're going to pick up Counterspell. Counterspell is just so strong, and it happens a lot in the latter portions of the game. You will get your spells countered. If you don't want to go with the healing portion, you can pick up Haste. If you don't want to go with Counterspell because maybe you got it from a different character, go with Haste. Those are really good abilities that you can go into. If you want to supplement more damage into the build, Fireball or Lightning Bolt is really good. Hunger of Hadar is great. But these are all really good abilities you can use in level 3 section of this that you really just can't go wrong with almost any of the ones you pick. And again, too, look at all these gold boxes. So it kind of really helps help make it easier for us to choose specific spells for our bard. So let's put all this together and take a look at what it looks like. Now, with everything put together on this character, we have tons of options for things to do. You can see my spell bar is massive, right? And we get all the way up to level 6 spells because Bard and Cleric are both casting classes. So we have a ton of spell slots to take advantage of, and we can upcast a lot of these really good spells. So if I click this, we can take a look at all these abilities we can upcast here to level 6. And by doing that, remember, we're gonna sneak in place in the middle of the video like I didn't want to do because I'm not the smartest person in the world. We're gonna take advantage of Disciple of Life, 2 plus the spell's level. So if I take advantage of, say, level 6 spell slot, and I were to cast Cure Wounds, right? It's gonna be 2 plus that 6 is 8. So this now, rather than doing 5 to 12 healing, is going to do 13 to 20 healing base because that is that plus 8 already added into it. And that healing is going to heal me as well. So a lot of this stuff is going to come together in a really fun way. And we can also take advantage of, hey, you know what? We got all this really great healing, but in this exact moment, I just need a really big damage spell. Let's upcast this Shatter to do 7 to 56 damage. Or you know what? Let's go ahead. I'm not going to upcast Guiding Bolt. That's crazy. 9 to 58, 54 damage. You can see some of the damage values that are coming out of this. If we had taken from Magical Secrets any of those capabilities, we'd have some really fun abilities that would be doing a lot of damage here too, right? But this character is not focused on that. It is really focused more on taking advantage of healing and crowd controlling. 2 of the really important things that I think that a support character or healer should really do is not just pure healing, but locking other things down to make it so that your other characters can do majority of their damage. Gear-wise, this class gets off the ground very quickly, which is actually really nice. But by the midpoint of Act 1, you have the majority of the items for this build. There's 2 items that I don't have in this playthrough, so let me go through those first. The first one is the Blood of Lathander. You're going to get this in the Mountain Pass by doing the Lathander quest. Once per long rest, when your hit points are reduced to 0, you regain 2 to 12 hit points. Allies within also regain hit points. So that's a nice little way to just kind of get some flat healing on yourself if you get downed. But sheds holy light in a 6-meter radius. In combat, fiends and undead standing in the light are blinded unless they succeed a Constitution saving throw. You get a free cast of Sunbeam. So it very much fits the overall scope of this character, and it's a really good early weapon that you're going to use the entirety of the game with this build. Another good set, or another good piece, is the Hell Rider's Pride. You'll get these from Zevlor in the Emerald Grove. However you get them from Zevlor. Do you help out the Emerald Grove? Do you punish the Emerald Grove and kill it all? Whatever it is. If you do the thing where you reveal Kaga as her situation, the Hell Rider's Pride is your gift as that. But whenever you heal another creature, it gains resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks, which is basically a free cast of Blade Ward on anything you heal. So this is a really amazing set of gloves, and you'll use these the entirety of the playthrough up until you get the ones that we're going to showcase later. But outside of that, everything else is very straightforward. What I'm wearing is pretty much the best items you want to get when it comes to the first 4 we're going to talk about. So the Whispering Promise, when you heal a creature, it gains plus 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws for 2 turns. Basically, it's a free bless. You'll get this from Volo in the Emerald Grove. The first time you meet him, just press in the lower left side of the screen, you'll see a little trade button. Press that, and you'll be able to buy this from him. There's also the Ring of Solving. You restore an additional 2 hit points every time you heal another creature. So 2 more flat healing is done with these 2 items working in conjunction. And that's huge, right? On top of all the stuff that you're going to be giving bonuses to with your Cleric class. This you'll get from Omelium in the Underdark in the Myconid colony. The person, I don't want to spoil, but yeah, you'll find him there. Also, the Boots of Aid and Comfort. When the wearer heals a target, it gains an additional 3 temp hit points. These will become obsolete until you can find other forms of temp hit points for your characters. But in the meantime, it's a great way to just to kind of pour temp hit points onto them. And then lastly, these are the best gloves that will replace the Hell Rider's Pride. When you heal a creature, it gains the effect of Blade Ward. When you revive a creature, it gains the effect of Death Ward. And this gives you a free cast of Revivify. So these are going to be the best gloves. They fit the overall look of the character. They're going to be awesome. You buy these in the lower city in Baldur's Gate at the Storm something whatever Tabernacle from the Vicar there. So those are like your 4 best items for this build, really. They really kind of hinge upon them. And again, these gloves will be the Hell Rider's Pride if you don't buy these. And all 4 of those items you're going to get very quickly in the game. Now, when it comes to your weapon, if you get the Blood of Lathander, you get the Staff of Arcane Blessing. Bless grants an additional 1d4 to saving throws and weapon attacks, and an additional 2d4 to spell attack rolls, and you get a free Bless built into this weapon. So it's a really cool one here. Of course, you're not doing damage with that, but that's not the big focus here. It's just kind of supercharging Bless for you. Also, you can use one of the other like legendary staves that you can get, like this, or like the Staff of the Weave, that basically give you Arcane Battery. Well, not basically, they do give you Arcane Battery. And also you gain a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, which is nice for any kind of offensive capabilities. But I would just give this to an offensive spellcaster instead of a support character. I just wanted to highlight it because it can give you Arcane Battery. Even something like this, right? Gain +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, just to kind of showcase those things. Those can help you in this case. And outside of all that, with your armor, I'm wearing just chainmail because it looked really cool, but really you can use whatever you want. Probably one of the better ones is going to be the Dark Justicar half plate. This is medium armor, not heavy armor, but advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. That's the big thing. So with that resilient feat and the Dark Justicar plate, we have both a proficiency and an advantage on Constitution saving throws. That's very, very good. But if you want to, go wear something like this. The Dwarven Splint Mail, it's sick. You take 1 less piercing damage, you gain a bonus to strength throws and checks, but you get +2 to Constitution, which is overall just going to help you outright with your Constitution saving throws. Keep in mind, this is to a max of 20. So if you have ability improvements that already bring you up to 20, this is not going to bring you beyond that number. So just keep that in mind. But again, I'm just kind of showcasing. I put half plate on the character. Whatever heavy armor you want to wear. This is medium armor. I'm stupid. Whatever heavy armor you want to wear, you can use the adamantine armor. You can use the armor you get from Ketheric. Whatever you'd like that you're not using on another character, go ahead and use it. For your cloaks, you can go with like Vivacious Cloak. You gain 8 temp hit points after casting a spell in melee, but I like Cloak of Displacement. So at the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer. So this makes your character kind of inadvertently tanky, right? It's harder for people to target this character, and I really, really like that. It makes it a little bit easier for this one to stay alive, and you can already heal yourself so much anyway that it won't really matter if you do take damage. For helmets, you have an ungodly amount of options. So I'm wearing the Helm of Baldur on because I like it, because it just gives us, I can't be crit hit, and I just get 2 hit points every single turn. You have a bonus to armor class and saving throws as well, which is cool. Just really high tanky AC. But you can wear something like the Flawed Helldusk Helmet, which gives you Constitution saving throws +1. You can use the Gibbous of Worshipful Servant. The Worshipful Servant. The first portion's not too great on momentum on charisma modifier, but you gain advantage on concentrating saving throws, which you want to have those as much as possible. Wapira's Crown you'll get in Act 1. When healing another wearer, regain 1 to 6 hit points, so it's just more hit points that come your way. Circlet of Mental Anguish, when an enemy fails charisma, intelligence, or wisdom saving throw against one of your spells, you regain hit points. The Birthright is great because it just gives you more charisma, which you can use for all of your bard spells. Or the Cap of Curing, which you'll get in Act 1 as well. When you inspire an ally using Bardic Inspiration, they also regain 1 to 6 hit points, which is something I totally forgot to talk about. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Would you just regain more hit points? So just choose whatever helmet makes sense for you. Boots, if you're not going to use the Boots of Aid and Comfort, just use mobility boots. Something like the Disintegrating Nightwalkers that you can't be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, and you get Misty Step for free. Speaking of, when it comes to necklaces, the Amulet of Misty Step is great. The Amulet of the Harpers is great for advantage on Wisdom and Shield. The Spellcrux Amulet is great for spell slot restoration. I'm a big fan of the Moondrop Amulet. When the wearer has 50% hit points or less, they don't provoke opportunity attacks, so you can move around a lot. A really good one you're going to get early in about beginning portion of Act 2 is the Amulet of Restoration. So this gives you a free cast of Healing Word and Mass Healing Word. So I would use this up until the point you get Amulet of Greater Health. So this gives you advantage on Constitution saving throws, the same thing that this plate gives you, right? And it gives you 23 Constitution. So it sets your Constitution all the way up. You don't need to worry about advantage on anything else, advantage on Constitution saving throws from everything else. This is all taken care of with this amulet. So you really are not going to be breaking concentration anytime soon. Well, you probably will, but still nonetheless. Those gloves, I forgot. There's another one you can get is the Herbalist gloves. If the wearer heals a poison creature, it is no longer poison, so you don't have to actually cure anyone. You can just heal them. And as far as shields go, our last item here, Viconia's Walking Fortress is probably the best because you gain advantage on saving throws against spells. Spell attack rolls against you have disadvantage. And it's just a lot of armor class. There's reactives in this. There's Warding Bond. There's Reflective Shell. Tons of cool stuff. But if you want just more spell slots, Shield of Devotion is definitely the way to go. And it gives you Shield of Devotion Aid. This is probably the better one to use if I would just wanted just more outright utility. Catholic Shield is nice to get in the meantime for bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. But this is definitely how I would build out this character gear-wise. I'm not going to jump us into combat because it's not necessarily going to showcase all of what we can do. What I'm going to do is just show how we can heal with this character. So healing can be done a number of ways with this guy, right? I just have access to so many capabilities. And also we have so many ways to buff too, like with Bardic Inspiration, which we kind of loosely talked about before. But now this little bad boy will replenish on a short rest, and so will our Channel Divinity, which is really nice here. We get a lot of utility out of these. So I can go ahead and do a little buff in here. If I have any of my healing capabilities that give me heals you on Bardic Inspiration, I can kind of get a little bit of a wombo there. And we have Karlach kind of burnt down here to 14 some odd health. So I can go ahead and use Preserve Life. Evoke a healing energy that restores your allies. And it does it in this big old circle around me. And this is also going to heal me. So let's go ahead and do this. You can see that did quite a bit more healing there, right? And let's go ahead and stop that. That did 10 hit points, Bless, and Blade Ward for all the characters that this applied to, Jaheira as well. So we take a look at this. Make this larger. Heal self for 36 hit points. Heal self for 2 more hit points. And another 2 more hit points. So out of that one spell, because that's not going to take advantage of being cast by a specific spell level, we're going to get even more hit points, don't worry. That still did a juicy 40 hit points. And that was on a big AoE heal, which I really, really like. So let's go ahead, and again too, we also have Blessed that was turned on, and we have Blade Ward that was turned on, which is great, right? And I can make our Bless even better. Let's go ahead and just use our Bound Bless ability. Oop, no target. That'll not do. Go ahead and boom, and just whatever. Not bless. I'll bless anything else. Anything else. Anything else. What a great instructional video from a great instructional person that makes great instructional bullshit. Here, we'll come over here. We'll bless these guys. God, what a great video this is. There we go, and there we go, and there we go. So our bless has been buffed up, right? So additional 1d4 to saving throws and weapon attack rolls, and an additional 2d4 to spell attack rolls because of the specific bless we get from this staff, which is really cool. Well, that's just any time we cast bless. Now, let's take a look at an actual dedicated heal. I've been talking up this stupid spell, Warden of Vitality, the whole entire video. So how does it really work? So while this aura lasts, you can restore Vitality as a bonus action to heal yourself or nearby allies. So here's the AoE. Okay, good, I got her outside of it. Let's go ahead and cast it. The Warden of Vitality is up. I can just press this. And I'm giving those hit points across, right? Go ahead and do this. Giving those hit points across. And that goes back to me a little bit. Do it again. So with this, I'm going to do this just to kind of lock things down for a little bit so I can show it off. Use Restore Vitality. I healed for 9, 5, and 5 on myself. Whatever. But we restored Will for 12, 2, 5. 12, 2, and 5, and then I got 5 of those hit points. So we just have a lot of really reactive, fun hit points that are kicking off all over the place. And this is just active here for 10 turns. That's how Warden of Vitality works. 10 turns, it's just up. You know what? I don't really have anything to do this turn for a bonus action. I'll go ahead and use Restore Vitality because it's a bonus action to actually take advantage of this. Or you know what? Let's go ahead and get let's do a wombo combo heal here. We'll go over here. We're gonna heal him with Cure Wounds. No, let's just jack this Cure Wounds all the way up to level 6. So our 10 to 52. Boom, that heals him for 30 plus 8 plus 2. That's a 40-point heal. I got 8 of those hit points, and you know what? He's topped off, but I'm not. I'm gonna now use my bonus action to restore Vitality to give myself 10 more hit points. So just to kind of show that we can really layer a lot of this healing onto the characters. Or you know what? Let's go over here. Let's try and get Mass Healing Word out. I don't think this increases the radius. We can do like a Healing Word, and that's going to get 7 to 16 in a radius. And that just healed everyone around me. And it turned on Blade Ward, and it turned on Bless for all of them. So you see how much utility we're getting out of this. And I haven't even gone into stuff like being able to blind these things that are around me, or I haven't gone into stuff like, well, I'm just mockery. Where is it? Tasha's Hideous Laughter we could have been using here. It doesn't matter if we go up to a higher level. But we could use a Hypnotic Pattern to have some fun. We have a lot of ways we can control the battlefield if we don't have any healing actions. And if we do have ways we want to control the battlefield with Warden of Vitality, I can still use my bonus action to be a very strong, potent 30-foot heal that does not cost a spell slot. Because you could just be saying to me, well, why don't I just simply use Healing Word? Well, A, this heals for more, and B, this costs a spell slot. So you just get a lot of roving utility out of this. And furthermore, too, I kind of loosely talked about this, but we have Song of Rest that we can be using outside of all this. Exit this. You know what? I'm not going to use a short rest. We'll use Song of Rest. Wow. And that will grant everyone the Blade Wards and all that kind of fun action. If I wanted to, we could be putting in Prayer of Healing and use this too, rather than you can see all that kind of, look at that wombo combo heals all over the place. It's just so much, but I don't think I've impressed upon it enough, so I'm going to do it one more time. You just get so much goddamn utility. And I think that playing a healer in your party is just fine. I know that it's kind of like the min-maxy meta way to play is not with a healer and just having more damage. In my personal honor playthrough, I don't have a healer, and that's just fine. You don't need to have one if you don't want one. And if you do want one, then fuck it, just do it. It's a lot of fun to have a character like this that's just pumping out heals, especially because those heals are reactively going back to themselves, making it so that taking their action and bonus action and turning them into a lot of really crunchy heals Healing himself keeps him in the fight for a long time, especially with heavy armor, adding a ton of insulation. So hopefully this helps you out in creating your healer in Baldur's Gate 3. If you have any other recommendations or items or class splits you'd go with, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Always down for fun ways to approach different characters. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.